What's up, guys? It's Ezra. I'm usually behind the camera, but today I jumped in front just to say what's up real quick. Be sure to share out the show today. It really helps us out, and it really tries to get our message out to everybody that's going to be beneficial to. Today we have David Villa, of course, as well as David Cribbs. Joining them today, we've got Scott Simons, John Luciano, and Rodney Hudson. Going to be some great people on our panel today. Be sure, like I said, to share it out, and let's get the show started.
All right. What's up, guys? This is David Villa. I'm here with David Cribbs, and it's Auto Dealer Lifetime. And I think Ezra Baucom, one of our, I actually got the man with the camera here, man. Did the little countdown there, man, shouting out. And Cribbs, what's up, brother?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Both of us, it's been a little while, man. It's been, I don't think that, since we've worked together, I don't think we've gone this long without being around each other, and so we usually feed off each other's energy, man. So I mean, I've been here in the sales team, and of course we've had one of our sales teams that you're involved with, and companies and so forth that are working from home, and it's been a unique time. We've had to self-motivate, but I tell you what, man, it's I know we talk about this a lot, and I know we don't want to be redundant, but we are in the times that we are in, and we are going through what we're going through, and every day it's producing like diamonds are produced. It's producing jewels. It's producing pearls. And both diamonds and pearls are produced through adversity. Unfortunately, you lose some through adversity, and that's what's happening as well. But that's going to happen, and unfortunate as that is, what I like to talk about and focus on are how the strong become stronger, and how people adapt and really become better in these times. There's an article that's floating around that we've been circulating here amongst our teams, regarding the anti-fragile, and just how adversity really causes us to become better if we not only persevere. A lot of times, people talk about, hey, just keep going. And there is really an element to perseverance that I think pretty much any success that we've experienced can really be attributed to, right? Persevering, not quitting. But it's not enough. You also have to get better. You have to, because of change, you have to, there's some introspect that needs to go on. You have to look inward and say, okay, what can I change here? How can I adapt, right? What can I do differently moving forward? Because if you're not willing to change, right, then you're not going to last very long. And this industry, man, has really been impressive over the last month. Would you agree?
Absolutely, Dave. I mean, we're seeing how dealers across the country are reacting to this. I think, there was the initial impact and sort of the shock of, wow, this thing is coming quicker than we thought, and how much it really affected us and the way that we do things. And then I think there was a pause of, how to respond. How do we set ourselves up? What do we do from here, right? And it looks a little bit different at each store and depending on where you're at in the country. But and then there's the, okay, now we're here. We can see the picture a little bit clearer. And now it's time to go into action, whatever that might mean for you and your dealership. For some we've seen, that are almost closed down to a certain degree, and then others are flourishing. It's kind of interesting to be able to look around and see all the differences, but we're all being impacted one way or another. But you're right, Dave. I mean, it's a time when things get exposed, the good things, the bad things, maybe some things that you don't need anymore, maybe some things that you need to put more emphasis on. But the biggest thing is the people, right? People that are involved in how they respond. So I think for me, there's been several stages, just like for everyone. And now it's like, how can I leverage every single thing that I have in order to not only stay thriving, but to come out of this in a really, really healthy way?
Yeah. And, absolutely. And, the word adapt comes to mind because, in adapt is not something that's really adapt. It's very in itself is not a fast word. It's not something that speaks of or lives in, instantaneous, position. I mean, it's slow by nature. So adapting is something that really, unfortunately, those who maybe aren't going to make it through or not going to, really thrive and might, suffer through this business-wise. I'm speaking business, I'm speaking automotive here. Maybe they haven't adapted or weren't adapting. So what this did do, because it was such a jolt, is it caused really what we've been adapting to and towards, right? It caused us to have to implement fast and quick into those areas, right? We had no choice but to operate in many cases in the area that we were adapting to. But what I think this has also done is it's required us to get better at things, that we weren't good at. It required us to learn things that we weren't doing. And it required us to, and so even when it begins to go back to, let's say, somewhat normal, or some of the things that we aren't doing begin to come back, there's going to be this larger percentage of what we are doing that remains. So I look at it this way, and I've said this, because we were blessed through adapting since last August, into some different areas and product wise, it's that those products have become the mainstay of what's working now. So I don't ever see us going back. I see us bringing some of what our initial product has been, but remaining with this large percentage of where we are now. And really it's a growth. It could turn into a season of growing after this is over. But how important, man, is it for auto dealers in the automotive community to adapt today, right? And learn this lesson moving forward, that we have to be flexible and willing to really not look at, is change coming, but change is here, and it's here to stay, really,
Change is here, and it is here to stay, Dave. And one of the cool things that you just made me think of is the fact that for dealers, for the retail automotive dealer, there's a lot of things coming to their aid right now as well when it comes to vendor partners. Because, and I'm not pushing our product, but what I would say is that it's forced us into that position of, hey, going to the next step. We've got to respond and have an answer and a solution for right now. Just like dealers are reacting to our situation of COVID, we have to respond with the same intensity and say, hey, we've got a solution for COVID right here. So we're getting better, we're evolving. So I think when we get through this, dealers will even have better resources to look at to partner with as we move forward, which I think will make everybody better.
Yeah. It certainly will, and I agree with you. It definitely will. And so again, we both have been super impressed, with what we've seen, customers or dealerships, really stepping out into the season and doing things that they haven't done, but at the same time, I've watched and I've had conversations with a lot of dealerships when it came to marketing, because look, here's the reality in this season. So, we can say a lot of things, but marketing is a must, and we don't talk about it often enough, because a lot of times when we talk about marketing, I'm a marketing company. So when we talk about marketing, we always equate that to sales. We equate that to, okay, somebody's selling me something. But the reality is marketing is a must in the automotive industry, because the dealers that I am talking to, every dealer that I'm talking to, they're not busy at a natural level, right? They're not busy on a natural level. And so what's happening is, and I said, well, what do you expect? Listen, there's not going to be a lot of customers that are just on their own because they want to, get up, drive down or whatever and come to a dealership. So your organic traffic might very well be off, because that's just not in the mind of what people are going through. There's a lot of change. However, marketing is a must right now. And so I've talked to a lot of dealers that just, the message of what to communicate, they were open to it, but a lot did not know. But I think flexible is not always having the idea, but it's really tapping into somebody who does, and being open-minded enough to say, look, I don't have all the answers, but I might know some people who do. And so it's not having the answers. We look sometimes and we think that that means that there's going to be some wise dealer somewhere. Look, no one's gone through this, and the reality is anyone that says they have it's just false. So the reality is we have to rely on each other for the answers, and that's what's really cool about this. So I think when I think of being flexible, and I think of seeing this industry thrive in this season, it's when minds come together, conversations come together, iron sharpens iron, right? And here's the reality, man. We're going to get through this thing together, and that's where I'm impressed by this industry. The perseverance, the willingness to be flexible, the ability to change on the dime, and to share, with colleagues and those that they interact with, in other stores, share the results and say, hey, listen, let's make this thing a win-win for both of us. But anyway, good stuff.
Yeah, really good stuff. And we are fortunate to be in a time where, we can look around and connect with other dealers, even if we're watching them on social media and seeing, pulling from this dealer and that dealer and that dealer around the country, great ideas and things that are working. So it's a great opportunity. Hey, the next thing though is that I think our guests are on, so I can't wait to get their input. So
bring them on, baby. Let's do it.
Yeah. Looks like we've got John Luciano with
Street
VW.
Street
Listen to me. Street VW. What's funny is I talk to you guys all the time and just drew a blank there for a second. But what the cool thing about that I'm hearing at Street, John, is that you guys have had some incredible numbers putting up on the board recently. So I want to ask you: is it a matter of that you're just not as heavily impacted right now, or is it a matter of you found some solutions that seem to be working? Is it a little bit of both? What would you share with dealers right now?
I would definitely tell you it's a little bit of both. And being as community minded as we always have been has probably helped. But early on, we reached out, and one of the big things we did, we blanketed the radio, and we did a lot of email blasts and even Facebook, just stating if you're having car troubles, if you got a light on or a tire light or a check engine light, I don't care what you're driving, doesn't matter what brand, pull into the service drive. We'll diagnose it very quickly for you. It's free. We'll tell you what the problem is. If we can help you, we'll help you. If we need to refer you to somebody, we'll refer you, whatever it is. And I think that community-minded message got out quite a bit. And then, Volkswagen has been incredibly supportive through it. We've got some great incentives, and they've stepped up. And the zero, things we've never seen, 0% 60 months on used cars. I mean, when have you ever seen that? I mean, some silliness. And that's given us a message to be able to say, look, we're not putting any pressure on you. But if the time is right and it fits, or if your car is broken down, if this fits for you, then we'd love to help. But if not, just let us know how we can help and how we can serve you. Very soft, very clean, and very honest and transparent. And we've had really, really good response. It's kept the service drive busy and working. And then, everybody's doing the same thing. Lots of advertising of, cleaning the showroom all the time. We have masks available at every door when you come in. We got, just the normal stuff that I think a lot of us are doing. But there are some people that just have to get in the market. They don't have a choice.
Yeah, and John, let me ask you real quick. I know you probably have another question, Dave, but real quick, no. I can't help it. When you talked about that free diagnostic and getting the message out to the consumer that, hey, pull in whatever you have, no matter what your make, we'll check out your car for you. Is that something that was inspired by these events? Was that prior? And if it was inspired by these events, is it something you plan to continue throughout?
It's something we've always done. We do a big radio email blast, whatever. There's a real funny gig, and we talk about, I use the word Lamborghini and say it like an Italian or whatever. And I'm known for it around Amarillo as Mr. Lamborghini. And we've always talked about, we'll work on anything, because we don't have every brand here. We don't have Mercedes. We don't have Jaguar. We don't have Infiniti. We don't have Acura. But some of those people drive those cars. They were trying to get the Walmart guy or somebody to work on it, of course, usually made it worse. So we just always raised our flag saying, hey, we'll try. If we can't, we'll tell you the truth. We'll tell you the closest place. We'll send it to, whether it's Oklahoma City, Dallas, and it started. But we took it to that next level when this came aboard, because we noticed like our Walmarts here are no longer doing oil changes. And we noticed some of the quick lubes, they're not open either. So it was an opportunity to reach out. Fixed ops is the key. You guys talk about it on the show at different times. The dealers that are going to survive this well is your guys that have got some fixed stops and can help offset these expenses that you've carried so heavily on the sales side, when sales is going to, nobody knows the number. What are we, 53% now is, I think, the projection for the month, somewhere in that number there. So we had to make that play. Just didn't have a choice.
Let me ask you this too, with regards to service and fixed ops. And I agree with, obviously I agree with the numbers of the numbers. I think that, I do, and I'm jaded a little bit because I'm a marketer and I've seen it. So I'm thinking a little bit based on just the last 3.5, 4 weeks of experience of what I've seen. I think, and I want to go that direction in a second, but just on the fixed ops, I want to ask you a question before we shift gears, John. Are you seeing anything with recalls? Because I have some dealers reach out and saying right now they're taking, some opportunity with customers that have recalls that, and they're picking the car up and bringing it back to them, and there's some opportunity there. Have you explored that at all, or is that anything that you see some opportunity in?
Yeah, there's no question. And Volkswagen stepped out and offered you $7.50 each way to go get the car and to go get it back, to help you compensate employees to go do it, to do the respectful thing for the consumer, not to come sit here in our showroom with a bunch of other people. So it was a great play for everybody. And I know Toyota and Ford, everybody's got it now. Putting that little bit of money, we're all looking for pennies right now, to pay the bills. So it did, and it allowed us to get out. And then what we include with it is we're going to disinfect your car, when it gets here. And then when we take it back to your driveway, we're going to shoot it. We're going to spray it. We're going to put the plastic ring around the steering wheel. There'll be a seat cover on it. And then we ask that maybe you let it sit for an hour before you get back in it, just for that last piece of safety. And people really appreciate it.
Scott,
absolutely.
Let me go to Scott. Scott, thank you, John. And I wanted to shift just slightly, and I want to bring up just something, Scott, that I've just been all over. And I'm not even gonna. I got to say it because I want to make sure that I just get out the reason why. We kind of shifted and did some things with marketing here. It's been, I'm a believer of faith-based, so this will be a Bible reference. It's like manna from heaven, literally. And so, David, you're on the emails. We're selling. Our phones are blowing up. Like, it's crazy. Like but it's because we, really, I believe like the God helps us with an idea that's helping our clients, and they are taking it from there. But let me just talk about the message, not our product. But let me just talk about this, Scott. Marketing. So what I'm seeing is people that are stepping out and putting the message out there. The message, let's call it the message. And they're saying, hey, even though I get shrinking back. So, look, as an owner here, when this first happens, you start looking at and you start analyzing and you start, okay, wait a second, let me stop for a second so I can take a snapshot before so I know that the next step I take is not going to go into a hole. That's wisdom. But at the same time, once you do that, staying paused too long is not pause, right? It's stop. And so you look and then you make your decision. And I think the dealerships that have asked for help or that have created a message, wherever they've gotten that from. And that message, by the way, is not push, pull, drag anything. It's not 20 grand off. It's not, any of that junk that, they throw out there sometimes on a regular basis. It's like, hey, the OEM is, John just said it. 0%. Volkswagen, I don't think I got a Subaru guy they were doing something with. They don't ever do incentives. 0% financing for 84 months or 72 months. That's a big freaking deal. And deferred payments right now, if you have somebody that has a $600 car payment, come on. It's a huge deal right now to somebody that owes a car payment that can not only not pay it, but have you guys pay the car off and then give them 3 months, 4 months, Ford and Hyundai, 6 months. My question, I guess, is if you can develop that message in a tasteful way and deliver it to a customer and they buy, where's the problem, right? The reality is,
correct.
So I'm just saying that this has been an incredible time for, at the same time, it's been very, very bad for some. It's been incredible for others without taking advantage of anyone, without hammering or pushing or anything. So Scott, I want to throw that out there and just ask your opinion on captivating an audience and marketing to them in this time frame.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you all for having me on. I know there's a lot of people out there in certain parts of the country that are struggling. And first and foremost, I'd like to say I'm thinking about everybody out there that have lost their jobs and going through, tough times, that this too shall pass and we'll be much better on the other side. And, to all the public servants that are out there putting their life in the line every single day for our safety is, kudos, because there's a lot of heroes that are arising. Right. And we truly see what character's about when you deal with adversity. So I just wanted to say that real quick. But our message out is that we care about the community. We care about our employees. Our motto is we're moving lives forward. We've actually have a program called CMA Cares where people in the community can call us and we will go and deliver groceries. We will go and pick up medications. Now, we won't pay for the groceries. We can't buy everybody groceries, but we're basically here on how we can assist you. Can we bring a vehicle to you, pick up a car for service? Can we deliver a car to you? So our contact with our customer base, once all the fog cleared and we, went through the SBA loans and found out our first and foremost, our priority was our employees. Without our employees, we wouldn't have a company.
Come on.
And we have 180 here. We have almost 700 throughout Carter Myers Automotive Group. We developed a plan to where we were able to keep almost every single employee. Now we did, apply for loans. So that was our first priority, is take care of our people. Now it's time to take care of our community. So we've got a program. You can call a number. We will do whatever we can to help you. When we contact customers, our first question is, how are you? You know, they typically say, well, I may have lost my job or this, that. How are you? What can we do to help you? And then can we do anything for you? Can we bring your car in for service? By the way, you know, if they still are, if they're employed and we, you know, go through the different things with them. If you were considering to upgrade your 13 Accord, now is a really good time. And we have 8 franchises here. We also have Volkswagen, which Volkswagen has really stepped up. Our Volkswagen store, some of our franchises are up, some of them are down, and some of the manufacturers have been keeping with programs, and some of them, you know, have been a little bit more conservative. But you know, we are telling our consumers that we are here for the community and we care about them and we are here for them. Now it's time to really get out there and get after it. We have employees that have guaranteed pay. I mean, they're guaranteed their pay. So now we said, we are here for you. We need you to be here for the customers, the communities, to be here for the dealer. So, you know, you can imagine we have a bunch of really good employees that are type A personalities that are goal achievers, and they're people that really like to produce, and now they're guaranteed their pay. So it's a totally different management mindset that we're going through right now that has been challenging. I don't wish this on anybody, but it's really pushed us as leaders, you know, to really change and adapt. I have spent more hours at this dealership in the last month than I can remember. I've got my performance manager. We're in meetings and calls all day long. And I have never worked so hard to sell so little. But, you know, that's what we have to do as leaders. We have to be here leading by the front every single day, telling everybody it's going to be okay. Okay, now that it's okay, let's go. Yeah. You know, that's kind of been our what we're doing. And you know, we're all going to be much better at the end of this. We just wanted to get back to work and get back to some type of normalcy, you know, as soon as possible, carefully. You know, people's health is extremely important. I'm in a rural part of Virginia. We haven't had that many cases. You know, my heart goes out to everybody that has, but, you know, it really hasn't affected our area. But our governor has shut down, you know, basically shut us down, but left us open by, he said, do not go out, which I don't disagree with what he said, but do not go out. But, oh, by the way, you know, car dealerships, we have been fortunate enough to be open. But as soon as you go get on your phone, get on Waze app, it says, do not leave your house, not unless it's emergency. So, you know, that's the type of challenge that we're going through right now. But we're blessed. We're open. We're going to be okay. We're going to be financially okay. And we're going to be stronger than ever at the other side of this. I think it's going to teach a lot of life lessons by the time this is said and done.
Well said.
Yeah, I'll say.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I wanted to say, you know, and I'll kind of go back to John on this as I kind of pose this comment and question. But, you know, I was talking with Carrie Wise, one of the TrueCar executives, just a couple of days ago. And, you know, her company, which obviously they're a huge company, they've been not forced to, but they elected to get a program that they had scheduled for later in the year and kind of push it and bring it up to speed and offering dealers that are partnered with them more options for online type transactions and just more features. In fact, there's some features. If you are a current client of TrueCar, make sure that you check out the latest things because some of those she was sharing with me that you have to opt in for, even though they're free. So make sure you check that out. But I feel like the second from here forward through the rest of 2020, I kind of feel like the car business is going to advance 5 years in the next 6 months, based on what we're experiencing now. Maybe give some input on that, John, and also considering we kind of opened up with this, and not sure if you were in as we were opening up, but you know, vendors have had to also step up to the plate. So I believe that services, just in general, for the support for dealers are also going to ramp up as well, and will be more efficient. What do you think?
Well, I think a lot of it's going to be fun. Is a lot of these vendors have cut the bill 50%, and done a few things with us. It's going to make some interesting negotiations as you recontract with these people, and we go back through it. I can tell you for one thing, I agree with Scott 100%. I don't know how many hours I put in, but I haven't missed a day since it started. We've been in here on Sundays. You're doing what you can. We were fortunate enough to get funded in our PPP plan, and all the employees are back at work. Everybody's getting checks, and everybody's pretty happy right now. But it's only 8 weeks, and so there's a lot of coaching. And so I have 72 employees. I've had a face-to-face one-on-one with each one of them to discuss what I'm doing, what we can do, where we're going to go. I think what it's going to do for our industry that we haven't seen in a long time is I think it made us all step back, and now we're learning what we've been taught for so long: policies and procedures, following, keeping your ducks in order, right? Don't get crazy about it all. And so we're all going back and looking at everything that you've had, because you've had to. And for us, it's been really, really good. Looking better at schedules and paying attention to overtimes and where are we spending money? Wow, gosh, man, we let that get out of hand. I mean, it was some very awakening stuff as you took that first month and said, man, I've got to cut some expenses. But as Dave teaches us, you can't stop. You can't stop advertising. You can't stop trying to be out in your market. Man, where do I find that medium in between there? How do I find that line? And wow, I feel like I'm a lot smarter and definitely a lot more efficient dealer today than I was probably 45 days ago, without a question.
I want to say something too. I think that because that's a challenge. I mean, I get it. I'm gonna, I'm on a different side than you guys are. You're dealing with the public, and we're dealing with dealers. And I think
I won't trade you, Dave. I'm gonna leave. I'll stay in the public. You deal with I deal with them as the chairman side, so I don't want any part of your team. So.
Well, you know what? It's somewhat. It's more difficult. Maybe I get punched in the face more, and that you're dealing with someone who's, they're like you said, negotiating. It was funny when you said that about vendors, and we're just blessed on a different level, I guess. But I get what you're saying, and I started chuckling myself because what the vendors don't realize is that they're going to charge a lot less when it comes out, because a dealer is that you give negotiate is that's just what you guys, it's in your blood. I mean, and it's like you're never going to get that price back up, and it's okay, but they have to do what they're going to do. But I chuckled because that's what that means. But here's the and that's not a bad thing. That was just funny.
No, but it's a good relationship that we have to find between us, because the industry is going to be different.
It is.
If we thought our margins had narrowed and tightened, oh my God. Yeah. Not like what we're about to see. And the only guys that are going to survive and be as successful as Scott and his team that we all want to be like is to be able to look at that and say, okay, look, I can't run this and take all this risk at a 1.5 or 2% return.
Yeah.
I can't play this game anymore. I've got to get it up a little bit where I have a cushion that I don't feel like every day one foot's on a banana peel. We all learned that. I mean, this thing hit, and it hit fast, and you looked and go, I mean, how did I get to these expenses? I mean, was I just an idiot? But you were covering them. Man, it was coming, and the manufacturers were throwing more at it, and it just seemed easy, right?
Well,
you were teaching us how to do Facebook.
But there's always been
the world.
But there's always, John, been, and I agree with you. There's always been. I wrote an article years ago called, Dave, you remember this, Wasted Distribution. I mean, it went out, and we sent it out to a lot of different medians and got a lot of response. We got a lot of business off of it because we kind of pointed out some things. But I could see dealers as they were reading it nodding their head, because and I wrote the article based on multiple conversations with friends and people that are in the automotive world. And here's the biggest thing: ROI just means something, and it really does mean something. And I think in a time when it's going to cost, in the deals that we use a lot of times with dealerships, and we all feel. Like, I've never talked to a dealer that doesn't feel like theirs works and that their people, aren't accurate on it. But I think if we all were honest, and really, really looked at it, that none of us are extremely confident on whatever the measures are when it comes to marketing. The little whatever you use when you have to mark down, your salesman marks down where this up came from. I often use, so when you put that down and you're trying to figure out the ROI on your advertising, you really don't know. And I'm not really sure what measure, a salesperson uses, but it's some sort of Christmas tree or guess. My dad used to call it swag, scientific wild ass guess, and so
that's right.
But the bottom line is, it's I look at it as as it's more important to know, because I want to know where my money's going and what kind of return I'm getting for real. And I know the last 5-6 cars I purchased, and they weren't just for me, they were for my kids and my wife, so they were done in the last couple of 3 years. Not a single person at any of those dealerships, not one of them, asked me how I found out about them. So I know if it's not happening to me 6 times,
shame on them.
Yeah, but I just don't know if we really know a lot of times. I think there's a lot of ways to distribution, and it's making us maybe look at it. Scott, what do you think about that?
No, it's true. you could ask, someone could see an ad on TV or heard it on a radio, but if you really get down and find out, we know that according to NADA averages, we don't log 15 to 20% of the opportunities that come in, no matter what happens. So it's, like we're talking about on this call, our whole world is going to change, and I think John brought it up earlier. We were cruising around, we were about ready to go in. We made it through winter for us here, and it's kind of like going into a fight, and you're favored to win, and all of a sudden you get knocked on your rear end and you're getting counted out. It's almost 10, and you're like, whoa, what happened? And then it's kind of like rolling through punches going through this whole situation. But again, I just know car dealers are resilient. Our partners have worked with us. Our communities are backing us. This is going to teach some very valuable life lessons, but we are going to come back stronger than ever. The economy is going to be stronger than ever. And I just hope that, America gets back and gets to work, and then we get some type of normalcy, and we do it carefully and calculated. But there's a lot of parts of this country need to get to work. I mean, there's a lot of people suffering.
Amen.
We need to get to work, and we need to do it and still practice what we've learned. I mean, we've got plexiglass up, and I'm sure John does too. I've got hand sanitizer. We're buying in cases. We've got people washing their hands to the point where they're dry. We've got people doing all the precautions, and we're going to learn lessons from this. But what just happened to us is going to change the auto industry. I've been around it 25 years. I'm old school. You probably can still find a Sharpie around my desk, probably even on my desk. But it's going to make a lot of us change, but it's going to be for the better. We're all going to become more efficient in the future. But I tell you, I've had a lot of sleepless nights worrying about this team and worrying about, not necessarily worrying about my wife and my family, because we have saved our money. We've been very fortunate, very blessed, but I have worried sick about my staff. I mean, think about this, Dave. There was one point, and I'll be very transparent, that we had to sit down with 180 associates, and I had to go, okay, these 60, if we had a furlough, these are the 60. Right. And then if it doesn't get better, these are the next 60. And these are people that you care about. These are people that you go to battle with every single day, that you love them and their families.
Absolutely.
That is a gut-wrenching decision that we were having to go through. So some of these decisions that some of these business owners have had to make has kept you up at night. I've woke up, I tell you, I've had a recurring nightmare that I'm on the Titanic, and the Titanic is the dealerships, and it's sinking, and we're obviously not. And I'm going to tell everybody, hey, we need to get up here and get up top, and the music's playing, and my team's dancing. Get up, we got to get over. We got to get the boats over. This thing's sinking. Like, what do you mean it's sinking? It's the Titanic.
Right.
So, and obviously we're not sinking. We're all going to be fine.
Right.
We are going through some tough times that we're going to battle through. But on the other side of this, we're going to be good.
I'm down, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm downstairs with the band.
Yeah, there you go. Hey,
you're on the bar. The ones on the bar are the ones that are hard to get out because they're having such a good time.
The other Dave's still out on the front rail with his hands out. King of the work.
So this
go back to work.
Christopher Campbell said something. To read a couple comments here. He just said, in addition to cutting expenses, we also have to look at redirecting expenses to account for where the industry is transitioning. And then he followed that comment up really quick to 20 plus years ago, asking someone what brought them in was something you had to do. The desk wouldn't work a deal unless you had the answer. So, just a couple of comments off what we were talking about, but Dave, I'll go to you.
Yeah, well, one thing that I'm hearing from, Scott and John, and it's one thing that I've seen in common with great leadership in a dealership that's just healthy, is the fact that, the people at the top are actually communicating on a regular basis. In other words, the people maybe who are just beginning in the store, even maybe have been there a few months, are hearing the messages directly from the leadership on a consistent basis, rather than just getting a message that was passed down, right? And we all know that more people, more and more every day, are living more for purpose. People are driven by purpose and being a part of something just as much as the money. So I think that's a big deal. And I would ask each of you just to take a moment and talk to any dealer out there about sort of the importance of actually humanizing yourself, and not just those who work for you seeing you in a role, but seeing you as part of the team.
Okay.
Go with you, John.
I know Scott's a lot like I am. I mean, we're in our stores. I can tell you the wives, the husband, the kids of all 70 of my employees, because it's just our leadership style and it's how we are. And the one thing I know probably, and I think I speak for Scott and I both, is those nights and trying to decide who to furlough, what to do, what was going to happen if we had to get there was incredibly painful, because for us, you know, we're 7 years old. We started from a ground up, scratch, nothing, just an open point. And most of these people have been with me since that first day. And, you know, we struggled a lot those first 2.5 years and kind of got our feet underneath us. And then we had a small little crisis with a diesel problem that took our feet out from underneath us. And so we had to restructure, and we spent those years doing that. And now all of a sudden we're coming through this. But I think I can tell you, a lot of Volkswagen dealers are very resilient right now, because we kind of had a practice test, you know, to go through this. We kind of knew what this felt like, because September 19th of 2015, our world shut down just like this did. So we were maybe a little bit more prepared than some, and maybe that's where the brand kind of got ahead of the others a little bit, because, you know, we had a little experience in trying to do this. But I think the silver lining for me is to watch so many of those stores that had really maybe gotten kind of so big, kind of so full of themselves, and life was so good that maybe they weren't working the community, maybe not doing as much as they were. And now to see them come back and be so community minded, they're loaning out their mobility cars, they're delivering food, as Scott says. We're all kind of doing those things, and we're finally loving back on that community that loved on us so much with money and profits. And it's fun, I think, to find that back. And if you really look at the guys that seem to be coming through this a little bit better, it seems to be more of that almost ma and pa type store that really has that identity in the community, that doesn't say, like, you know, Volkswagen of Amarillo. It actually has a street name, Joe Street, or you know, somebody's name, and you know what, they've been here a long time. At this point, I got to go somewhere where I trust. Man, I got to go. I know Scott's going to take care of me, so I'm going to go there. And I think that's the difference. But it sure is interesting to watch, and it's going to be very interesting to watch us come out of this. And we will. Yeah. There's no doubt. But I think the industry will have some serious changes to it. I don't know that we'll be the spin crazy guys that a lot of us, you know, we're kind of getting to be. So, yeah. Scott?
Yeah, and I agree with John. John and I both are VW dealers, and I have a lot of respect for him. He serves the VW dealer body, and I have a lot of respect for him for volunteering his time to do that. And I would say we're both players, coaches, and you know, going through that time, there was times we didn't know. And my partner, Liza Borsius, which we're part of 15 stores, we're at ESOP. We've been around since 1924. Our employees own 26% of our company. And she set up a Facebook page and does pretty much daily videos of where we are and what's going on. And at first, we didn't really know what was going to happen. I mean, as anybody would. Yeah. And we were just very honest to say, we're going to do the best for you that we can. You just got to trust us. We just got to continue to do the best that we could do. We have your best interest in mind. But we had to do that by being here. And I think, you know, by being here every single day, and they see you there, and they just they just want to see you. And you look at them and say, you know what, hey, Dave, it's going to be okay. We're going to be just fine. Don't worry about it. We're going to do what's in your best interest. And then you start hearing about the unemployment benefits, and then this, and then this, and this, and said, hey, just stay the course. Stay the course. We're going to be fine. We've got your best interest in mind. And it's a trust. And through that process, we had very few people just leave. We had very few people go file for unemployment. When I sat down and met with the associates and went over their pay plans, you know, that this is what you're going to get paid, which was a guaranteed compensation. Some of them almost broke down and cried. They said, we are so happy just to have a job. We're so happy that you took care of us. And obviously it was through some government funding and this, that, and the other. But there were some companies that just went and just furloughed people immediately. And that was never in our plan. We had a plan to survive without government funding. You know, we had a 30-day, a 60-day, a 90, you know, 120, a 180. And, you know, and some of those were pretty scary, you know, decisions. And just being there and being there the moment that they're open, they see you, they see that you're confident. I mean, I can have a meeting in here with y'all and we say, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? But once you go outside that door, man, we got this. Don't you worry about it. And you're being transparent, being honest, being accountable, being visible in these times. They're never going to forget it. And I want people to remember this. This is a short amount of time in a lifespan. The decisions that we're all going to make is going to be remembered forever. Don't make short-term decisions that's going to affect your legacy or how you're going to be remembered over just 30, 60, or 90 days. So I just ask people to try to do the right thing.
Amen. Well, Scott Simons and John Luciano, two leaders in this industry, and we just appreciate your leadership, your influence, your examples, and your words today. What an incredible panel. And gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you guys continue to stay safe and continue to do things, incredible things through this season. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, John, thanks for being on there. Dave, thank y'all for what y'all do for the auto industry.
Hey, thank you, Scott.
John, just to throw it out there, John just texted me and said they just lost power. Literally at the end of the call.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Scott.
Dave, man, another great panel that again just brings really into clear focus and confirms what we had discussed in the opening, right? I mean, just just a really, really good group of guys here. So Dave and I are talking about this and continue just right on the other side of this short break. Don't go anywhere. Listen, we love you guys and appreciate you. Make sure you share the show because there's a lot of dealers out there that may need to hear the words that these two gentlemen talked about, and I think that it was encouraging. But we'll be right back with more Auto Dealer Live. I'm just putting this mic on, guys, and going to try something here. This is off the cuff. All right, so while I'm sitting here, the marketing team pulled up Facebook, and so we have Facebook events going on. I'm gonna let you sit there in real time and watch as comments come in. Check this out. These are people responding. Okay, they responded to me, yes. We're just gonna keep the camera here for a second and watch what happens. Can't today, how about tomorrow? That's with a dealership in Texas. These are people responding to the ads as we speak. A minute ago, there were 15 or 20 of them just lined up one after the other. There's another one. I think I have an appointment for Friday, but if not, schedule me, please. That's one of Randall Reese. There's another one. Hugo Perez says, I'm good. I was just checking out the post. I think I'm going to keep what I have. Okay, that's all right. He still responded. It's just one after the other for the dealers across the country that are running this. If you're looking for something right now, they will do anything to make a sale. Yes, we will. Hey, I like the used 2018 F-250, and the only thing I could trade in was a 2000 Ford Ranger. There's a person for Baird Dodge. This is Toothman Ford. This is Malloy Toyota. This is Baird pre-owned. This person said yes, they're responding to the BDC. Just get a quick shot, but that's just some of the people taking the appointments. There you go, Ez. These are people answering. Did you get my info? Person impatiently asking for one of the Randall Reese stores. Did you get my info? How about this one? I can't get a loan through One Main. I'd say it's a loan shot. Call me. Malloy Ford. I mean, these are just people commenting off the ads over and over. Look at this. This person's giving their address because they have an appointment. We're going to send them in. You guys have just watched this live. So let me just give you a little feedback really quick. We're doing Facebook events with a very, very specific message. It's not Facebook, just a Facebook event. There's a very specific message. We're signing up stores left and right. One of our stores started Friday morning, this past Friday, today's Monday. We walked in today, over 1,500 people had commented and or sent a direct message. These are people that are responding over and over. Look, we're just one more time here, just so you know, this is just live. Person giving their address. All right, here's another one here. Person from Malloy Toyota, they're answering a question. They're saying no. This is another one for Toothman Ford, giving their address for an appointment, their email address. I'm good for any, I'm assuming that's going to say any day. These are people that are getting responses right now to this ad. Hey, if you're interested in this, the number is going to be on the screen. Give us a buzz or email me at david@ipdagency.com. The number and the email address will be on the screen. Hey, what do you got to lose? Right now, we are batting 1,000 and we're signing up dealers left and right on this program. Dealers are telling their 20 group partners and friends about it and their sister stores about it. Just today alone, we signed up 5 stores that will refer to us. Reach out to us.
Hey, we are back. It's Auto Dealer Live, and we just finished up our dealer panel with John Luciano and Scott Simons. And if you missed that, make sure on the replay that you go back and catch that. I'm here with my co-host David Villa, and I know that John dropped off right at the end because they lost internet, but he's back on for a moment. So we'll let him share.
You guys were talking about things and coming to an end and all that, and there was just like a huge spike through town. I guess the place went dark. Whole dealership just went dark. I was like, wow, Dave, that's powerful, buddy. Whatever, you got my attention. So thanks, guys. Sorry about that. I appreciate it. If there's anything else that you guys want to know, anything I can tell you?
No, you can help. You can help. We were getting ready to wrap the show. We were just on a commercial, so if you heard us, we were just laughing about the fact that I've been shooting so many videos, right, with with the different incentives for different manufacturers. We were laughing that
Oh, yeah.
our young millennial cameraman over here, he said a friend of his was on Instagram talking about, I think there's some deals going on, and he's like, oh, let me tell you about it. So he knows all the incentives, man, all the deferred payments.
He probably could put a chart. He probably could sell a chart to the rest of us of what everybody else has got, right?
Oh, he
lay
could
it all
definitely.
out. Hey, well, here we go. Dodge has got a better deal here in sedans
Oh, yeah.
and different things.
could
I mean, truthfully, I think we kind of have to applaud all the OEMs. I truly, we're studying it real hard, and because of where I sit on the council, you know, we meet and we talk, and we've taken everybody's, and we're trying to make sure we're competitive, and maybe we're a little better here, a little better there. So we're looking at all of them, and you know, it's really very, very impressive. They're all really spending some real money.
Yeah,
And I mean, these are all dollars that start with a B. You know, things we don't talk about very often. But these are not millions; these are billions. These are big numbers to try and drive us to. You know, they realize that if we get too far down, some may not make it back. So it's a real fine line in the conversations of how much do you do now while we're sitting in it, and then still have enough to come out, or do you focus more on survival and then see what happens?
I'm not sure there's a wrong way, you know, because I think that you know, I'm not sure there's a wrong way. I just think there's a wrong way and a right way for each dealership, and I think that there are some that are being conservative or, you know, holding, and that's the right way for them, and I think that would be the wrong way for others. And I think I think as long as you get it right for you, you know, I think that then you're okay. And I think there's some that should not be and can't sit, and they're doing it out of maybe fear or just, you know, just procrastination and, you know, waiting. And I think that might clip them. But, you know.
Well, I think you've got to look a little bit also at your community, your state, trying to look at where it's going to go, because it really is very different for all of us. I mean, you look at Utah's doing phenomenal, but they never really did squash down. Their governor stepped up and just said, hey, look, I trust my people. If you're sick, you're going to stay home. You're going to do the right thing. And they've done fine. But then the other tighter areas like New York, where everybody, you think of Manhattan, 11 million people, you can't get 6 feet apart. I mean, they had to do what they had to do.
I think in Utah, I don't think they ever get 6 feet together. You know, I'm pretty sure they're always 6 feet apart.
Yeah, but you're right. You have to look at your area, your community, and then you've got to balance it accordingly.
Yeah.
And some of them, if it's a young, take parts of Dallas, Austin, some of those areas where it's young and it's had that huge influx of people, there is a demand. People have moved there and they moved with only one car. They got to get the second car. Mom now got a job. Right. Whatever it is, you're going to have to take a few minutes and step back and look at that.
Right.
And like you said, don't go with your dad's, you know, swag anymore, and maybe take just a little bit more time. And we're having to do that in everything we do. But there's always a market.
There is.
And, right. So you got to make sure that your flag is up, right? As they used to say. Do people know that you're at least open? I mean, you got to at least tell that much of the message, and why you're open. Hey, we're no pressure.
Yeah.
It's just for information. Great, we're that. If it's service, great, we're that. But if your car is in trouble and you can't get, I mean, we got to think about this. Doctors got to get to hospitals.
That's right.
I want the pharmacist to be able to get to the pharmacy.
Right.
I want the policeman to get to his job. There are certain people that I want to make sure they can move.
Yeah.
I need them to do their job.
Absolutely. And so, absolutely, John. Well said. Well said. And so we were getting ready to wrap up. So let's wrap up with John on. We'll just wrap up the three of us. Dave, man, John and Scott. What a great panel. And I've had great comments. And thank you so much, John. We were saying thank you as you cut off there earlier, and Scott said to say goodbye and tell you goodbye. But man, I appreciate you coming on, and Dave, thank you, man. Look forward to you guys getting back in the office here really soon on your side.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those who haven't seen John or Scott on before, I'm pretty certain, John, you guys have new fans because it's so challenging not to just really like you guys. So yeah. I know that we're fans, and I appreciate your contribution to not just us, but your team. Oh my gosh, it's an inspiration. And for those who maybe are outside of the industry who happen to catch this broadcast, how refreshing it is for them to see this side of the automotive space. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
I think the industry is trying to take a little bit of that turn. I know this is year 41 for me. And when I first got in the industry, you didn't speak to any, I mean, you could be fired for talking to a salesman that worked across the street. Wow. It was that tough. And there was pure competition, right? That guy's taking money off your kid's plate. And we preached that in those meetings. And wow, what a difference that you're seeing now and the availability. And we all shared good ideas and we put things out there. And this is that time for us as a dealer body to do even more of that. If you've got something that's really working your community and it's helping the community, please, I mean, serve it to you guys. You guys serve it up. Let's do the right thing. Let's kill that where people have always said that I'd rather have a root canal than buy a car. Here is our opportunity to show that really, for the most part, most dealers I know, and I'm like Dave, at this part of my career, I would assure you, I know thousands of dealers. And at this point, I know that 99% of them have the biggest heart and they really want to do right. And they do so much for their community and they just don't want you to know it. But here's that opportunity to stand out there and show, I'm going to give back to all the good that you did. I'm here. I have this business because of you, my community.
Amen.
What can I do to help you? That's it.
Amen.
Nope.
Well said.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Very good.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Dave. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Man, we're a great show today. And John, thank you so much, man. I can't wait to talk to you
Anytime.
again, brother. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank
John.
you, guys.